All right.
So we'll bring that forward.
Yeah, that can go to the board.
Okay.
And the CPI, like I said, that is just adding a position onto the extra duty schedule for somebody who's been doing it all along but hasn't been getting paid.
So there's a specific person who's been doing this job already without compensation?
Correct.
Right.
Pat Kinney's been doing it for us.
Okay.
And like I said, you have to be certified, you have to present at in-services. So it would just be under the extra duty contract, the same as the CPI.
Other extracurricular.
Yeah, so I think it's like a $3,000 stipend per year.
Okay, and Mr. Kinney would just continue doing this work? Okay. And does it need to be posted then?
Well, we can post it, but he's the only one who's certified to do it.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's very physical too. A lot of physical. It's
Restraints.
Oh, yeah.
We used to be Doug Jardine, but then as he's getting older in his heart, he can't do it anymore. So
And it has to be someone that works here.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll push that forward.
All right.
Yeah.
Now Nicole had emailed me, but I didn't get a chance to do it. She wants me to provide a chart for Monday's meeting showing island meals versus mainland meals, a cost comparison. So I'll provide that.
I know that I have seen that before and that it's, I mean, yeah, we can look at it again. I just hope, like, obviously it's going to cost more.
Mhm.
How much more, I guess, is something that,
Well, yeah, because they need to provide us with some reason for this big of a jump, but 29%, 29.5%
oh, I would like,
increase. I mean, where's the costs?
I do feel like we could certainly ask for justification and could even request what that justification is. So what are wholesale food costs? Are you making changes to the menu? And we would like to see that. And just any other information that is resulting in the 29.5% increase in a student's meal last year to this coming year.
Yeah.
so I think I like the counter offer of the 3% increase. I also would like to see some sort of, maybe even like anonymous survey go out to the island families, to the island parents about the lunches and what they think of them and how they think they could improve if they think improvements need to be made.
That would be
Just
good.
like anyone else getting a raise, accountability comes with it.
Okay. So we'll still push it forward so it can be a discussion.
Yeah.
Full board.
At the board.
We'll still push it forward.
1.4, consider 2021-22 LaPointe Elementary fuel bid.
And he is the only one that typically has ever bid. Is there more than one gas station on the?
There is
Was the
two propanes, the Brummers,
Brummers.
and Gene Nelson, and it's those two.
And the Brummers had a problem with us one year and refused to bid anymore.
Oh,
So
um,
was
weird.
before my
It's
time.
okay.
but they won't bid on it.
We could
Seems
ask
like it
him
would
again.
be the opposite. Yeah, I mean, another bid. I am just curious. Like, is this price higher than years past?
It is.
Oh.
It is.
Mhm.
Significantly?
But gas prices right now are high.
Yep.
Do you remember what it was last year, Linda?
I want to say 174
Yeah, I think so.
or 75, something like that.
But because of the pandemic, everything's more expensive.
Yeah, and with gas prices going up, I mean, it makes sense, but yeah. Should we ask Brummers?
We can ask before Monday's meeting.
If they're willing?
Do you remember what the details were, why they?
No, it was before my time,
Okay, so it's been quite a while,
so before 2013.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Do we know if the Brummers or if Jean owns the propane tank on the property?
I believe we own the tank,
Okay,
so we can get either one.
okay.
He says in his, I thought that's what no lease fee was,
Oh,
because there's usually a fee for the tank. Isn't there?
yeah. there usually
If
is.
he
Well, that would
owns
make
it?
sense. If we own it, he wouldn't give us a lease fee.
Let me look.
Yeah,
Right.
if he owns it, then we would pay the lease fee.
Yeah, I would. That's how I read that.
Yeah.
I can confirm.
Okay.
And Randy, you'll reach out to Brummer?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Can we move on to 1.5?
Yep.
So 1.5 is the milk bid. And I did ask if Tetzner's would consider supplying us with milk. Here's a local family dairy. I know that they supply milk to the Washburn School District. And I was curious, and then,
Yeah, it's a pitcher that kids have to pour into a cup.
it would require purchasing cups, but it would then decrease what we're putting in the landfill with milk cartons,
Mhm.
which I think is something that is a valid reason why looking at if Tetzner's would, deliver here. And I don't know what the issue is, if we've tried before and they just said, no, we're not interested. But again, circling back and asking again, we're really trying to support local food providers and growers, and to see what it would come back as far as a milk bid.
So you haven't heard from them? Or they are up North Food Service?
No, we haven't.
We haven't
Reached
heard,
out.
We haven't reached out to Tetzner's because I don't know why that never hasn't been done in the recent
Well, we used to
past.
put it in the paper and they would just never bid on it.
But nobody's ever called them
No,
and said, hey, we're Bayfield School.
no.
I'll call tomorrow.
That would be
All
lovely.
right, so Linda's going to call tomorrow. Just again, to have that as a potential option. And then I asked to I certainly hope that we're also supplying milk alternatives for students who need that.
We do that.
What are
It's-
they?
I think some kids get almond milk and Karen actually has to go to Walmart and pick it up every week.
Oh,
Oh. Andy sells it.
What was that?
Yeah, I know Andy's grocery store sells it, and rice milk and
I don't know what kind of milk it
cashew and oat.
I was going to say, and almond milk is actually
is what?
causing a lot of the droughts in California.
Oh, really?
I know, there's so much water. Okay.
So maybe we could find an alternative.
I think it's really driven by just the health, the medical, dietary needs of the students, and we'll certainly do all we can to accommodate whatever they need. Okay, so Linda Weber is going to reach out to Tetzner's before Monday's meeting and see if it's possible that we can get some more information on a possible bid from them regarding milk. And 1.6, consider 2021-22 Madeline Island Ferry Line bid.
I didn't get a chance to look and see what the difference is, but I'll have that.
So I guess-
Cost-wise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even spend, I looked at the costs, but yeah, I don't know what,
what it was last year.
They didn't change anything except adding the chaperone vehicle for $27 round trip.
Why would the chaperone need a vehicle?
they wouldn't. 30,
Was that for Head Start or no?
43. So that's 43 for a round trip. If, like, just saying, if a chaperone had a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking for me,
Didn't they do that too when it was transporting students? They had to be in a car and not.
They tried to do that during COVID.
Oh, they did.
They wanted
Okay.
us to have a bus.
Okay.
How much is yours?
while I used my card, my discount card, so I'm going to find one where I paid cash.
43 or 45 round trip for car, isn't it? 24 each way?
For just the car?
I can look on the website.
And if that's the case, if it's cheaper to put it on the card, we should get them a card.
Yeah.
If it's cheaper from on the card, what do you pay on the card?
It was $38 round trip. So for just me, for a round trip with my card, it was $13.70.
It's no discount for us, it's 27.
But if we give them a ferry card, the discount's built right in.
Right, I'm just.
Yeah. Oh, what is
On
it?
the website, it is for an automobile, $27 round trip.
Yep, and
Oh.
16 for an adult round trip. So cash is 43, on a card it's 38. So I think it would be nice to ask for the same price as using a discount card, since the school pays on time, they pay regularly. To ask for that discount.
Well, if it's because they have to bill us, so maybe that's why it's more. If we use the card, then they wouldn't have to worry about billing us every day.
So I actually wondered about that. That's how it works every month,
Mhm.
is the school
We get it.
reports to the ferry line how many people rode and how often they rode.
Mhm. The students, we do.
Yeah. Well, and the chaperone?
I believe the chaperone is on the bill. I'll have to look.
Okay.
We just do students.
And then they just say, okay, well, there had to have been a chaperone
Mhm.
for those days.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess
It's
I have
so
never
weird.
seen this contract, so I thought it was more of like a flat fee, not actually like you pay actually for a head count.
No, it's a head count every day. We have to keep track of kids. And sometimes there's some arguing going back and forth because if a kid stays over here and doesn't go home or
Mhm.
didn't go to school or didn't go to school but came over for a doctor's appointment, then we're not going to pay for that.
Right.
So,
Is it just a can of worms to think that especially for middle and high schoolers, that they each just get a school card? Because
oh, yeah.
would that just not?
Because there's no way to monitor, or
Well,
even
you
if there
could.
was, it's a workload. It's adding a lot to someone's
Adding a lot of
workload.
work,
Because then that means logging into all of those accounts and
seeing who's using it and who's. Okay.
What
Alright.
about if the chaperone had the card? And the chaperone every day says, here's our card. We have 7 children and 1 adult.
how many or how much are students if you put it on that card?
I don't ever have to do it because the ferry line lets
kids
all
go free.
island kids ride free,
No matter what,
no matter what.
except if they're going to school.
Except if, well, because their reasoning is because the school pays for their school trips. That's,
In the summer, they don't have to pay?
no,
They don't pay at all,
no,
like on weekends or anything.
never. They give us every summer, I get a thing in the mail and it has an orange card in it for each kid to carry with them that says courtesy pass. And it's for all school kids. But even if you go to Washburn, you know, like the Wiltzes, Reese and the other, I forget his name. But anyway, they went to Washburn. They were still free on the ferry.
So they charge us, but not Washburn.
Correct. Well, no, the Wiltzes they bought an apartment in Washburn.
Mhm.
So they weren't like transporting.
Oh, not every day.
No, rarely at all.
Oh,
So regarding the contract that we have in front of us,
do we want,
I like the idea of the chaperone having a card.
Yeah,
I'm just going to throw that out there.
I do too, now that I thought for some reason we got a discount,
Right.
but we're not.
And if every morning that way, not every child has a card that you have to keep track of so many accounts. It's just Jackie or whoever is the chaperone. They have one card. They have a head count of how many kids and they buy the ticket for everyone one way also. That way on the way back, if two students aren't
Right.
coming home from school that day, they're
Right.
staying on the mainland, then the school isn't paying for them to come back.
Yeah. I like that too. I'll look into it.
but it seems like with the card, there was always a discount attached to the ticket price.
There is.
Because, okay, so we would still be able
She
to
said it
take
was
advantage.
like 36 round trip or 38 round trip versus,
I believe it's 10%.
43.
Yeah, so it's 43 versus 38 that's for one car and one adult.
So, which means that compensation number 6 on the contract, we would add language that we would have. I think we're going to have to change our language to ensure that, right?
and how much are students, kids on the Ferry Line website?
They are 12 and over is $16 round trip,
Oh,
and passengers 6 to 11 years, $3.50 one way, $7 round trip.
So the students are getting a discounted rate.
which is not the adult.
Right, and that's $6 almost per kid, $5.50.
Mm-hmm. So the chaperone could still have a card just for them. Because then it's under our account and we can look at, we have quite a few different cards. Did your card get filled up in time?
No.
Okay. Are you running a deficit? Are they letting you run a deficit?
They let me do that, but that was, I believe, for May's meeting. So I think I have June's, 2 meetings from June and tonight's
I'm going to,
meeting. I
Yes,
have
that
receipts
again.
from you all, for you also that I didn't give you before.
Okay.
I sent you pictures.
okay.
I
Oh,
gotta go
yes,
through
that's
my
great.
wallet.
Thank you. Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, if the chaperone had a card,
Then we should get the discount.
So are there any other points to the contract that you would like us to do some research on before Monday's meeting?
yes.
Okay.
And when this contract first came into effect, we met at the Ferry Line with their lawyers. We didn't have any choice over the contract language, or we couldn't change it at all. Robin and Gary would not let us change anything.
Or what?
I just said, nope, their lawyers vetted it. Had a lawyer who was a, like a seawater lawyer, like knew what all of his stuff.
Well, I see that there's probably parts in here that shouldn't change as far as they're concerned for some liabilities, but there are things like, I'm sorry, just saying that riding the ferry is a privilege. I don't see why that should be in a legally binding contract. That statement.
And it's because there was some problem children.
Yes. And I am actually aware of those situations and completely. And so that's some of the things that I have circled on here because I have questions about, well, it says on 3E, that it is Madeline's sole and absolute discretion. And that pertains to ridership. And Madeline retains the right to refuse ridership. And I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm just curious. I would like to see some consistency between, I don't know what the contract with Viking, is it Viking Motors for the buses? I don't know what that looks like, I guess.
And they have, there's disciplinary actions that the bus drivers write up, and it's spelled out really nice in the handbooks how many strikes you get before you're going to have to drive yourself to school.
Okay, and then you have to just find alternative ways to school.
Right.
Okay. I did want to just be clear on that. Like, well, what happens if a child on the bus is having disciplinary issues? Is it the same, basically, protocol or procedure? And then I had the question on the billing. I guess I just didn't understand the whole system. I didn't know that the school has to give the head count and then the ferry line gives the bill. And I was unaware of how that works.
We give the head count and they don't bill us for the students. We just pay with a check saying this are the students we're paying for. Then we do get an invoice for any quirky things that come and go, like lunches back and forth, or not lunches, breakfast back and forth.
Yeah.
That's on there. If we had to have a contractor go over and didn't have a card for him, then that's on there.
Okay.
Things like that.
And then, so things like, oh, I'm sorry, does the chaperone take a head count every day, the way there and the way back? And that's what we pay for?
No, if they go over, we have to pay round trip. Yeah, if they come over.
Okay.
But
So that day, if in the morning they go over, all of those students who are going over to school on the mainland, that's a round trip ticket, regardless if they're staying on the mainland and sleeping
Correct.
at a friend's house or something.
because there are some, like I said, quirky times where, maybe the student doesn't come back or doesn't even, he might be in school that day, but stayed at a friend's house for that whole day. So that's why we do take.
And then I can see how that would work. Like, okay, well, then the next day they're not counted in the morning. So they're not on the tally for the next day and they're riding it back the next day.
Yeah.
I can see how that could equal out. But if it's a Friday, then that's not a thing. You know,
Yeah, then it's not fair to us.
then that's not fair. But on the pricing, there's only round trips.
Yep.
So there's not even a one way.
And you can, when you buy a ticket, you can buy it one way.
Yeah. So I circled this one. Let's see why. Oh, that's about the invoice thing. Okay, 7D is about in the event a chaperone or designated substitute chaperone fails to report at the time of sailing, Madeline shall have no obligation to convey any student. Has that ever happened?
Not that I know of. We usually always have a rider on. But it's in there.
Such refusal being without recourse by the school district. Okay, so this is the part that I underlined and what I did not understand in the verbiage here. Such refusal being without recourse by the school district or any student or student's parent. Now, recourse is the legal right to demand compensation, meaning that a parent could not go after the ferry line because of that, based on a contract that the parent never signed. I don't understand how the district can sign a contract saying that a student's parent
I don't think
will
it will
not.
hold up in court.
No, so I don't understand why it's on here at all. I feel like it's just to say such refusal being without recourse by the school district. I feel like if it says or student's parent, then I can sign a contract with Beth saying if I do something, Randy can't sue me for it. You know,
Right.
and it's me and you signing the contract, not her. Or is there some sort of agreement between parents and the school
Have you, no, we have never. We don't have
that
anything like
says if you send your student on this mode of transportation, which we have acquired for them, you are in agreement with the contract that the school signed?
No, we've never done anything like that.
Okay.
Cindy is on the call. Hey, Cindy.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Talking about our favorite subject.
I'm sorry.
I see that.
So looking, what I've got as notes regarding 1.6 so far is just taking a look at the contractual language of our bus contract and ferry, correct? And then compensation, why is there not a one-way ticket option? And I don't know if you want,
I believe that there should be a one-way ticket option.
okay?
Mhm.
I think so too.
Yeah.
We pay a lot of money towards the Fairyland to, we should be able to make some kind of agreement there.
And then 7D, our request or the board's request potentially would be for that last sentence to end after school district removing or any student or student's parent.
I would like to see that. And I would also just like for the ferry line to, if they're presenting a contract, that both parties get to have their attorneys look over it. And it's a negotiation, not a, no, it's this or nothing. Because what is the other option? If they're saying you can't change anything, so then what do we say? Then we don't sign?
Because what did
Is
we
that
try to
the only
change
other
last-
option?
We tried to change something last year and they wouldn't let us.
Yeah, do you remember what that was for the ferry contract? Was that for Winslet or was that,
Oh.
I think it might have been for Winslet
Yeah,
contract.
that's true. I'm getting contracts mixed up.
And then under 10A, I guess it goes to the all appropriate Bayfield School District disciplinary policies will be in effect and all appropriate disciplinary steps will be followed. I just wanted to see, and you have that written down, Beth, if those are in line with the bus,
Yeah,
like the
'cause they're
policies for students on the
writing our
bus.
student handbooks.
Okay.
And the contract that we're looking at, as far as I've studied, is void of any specific language on accommodating school schedule. So start
not
and
in
end
there.
time or the full learning experience of our students is often extracurricular activities as well that do sometimes and can occur in the morning before instruction.
And
So-
later. The
A-
4
and then-
p.m.
right.
boat let back to the island.
Right,
That means that none of the middle school or high school kids can play sports.
right. Or band or do.
Right,
Chess
anything.
club or whatever. So that's, unless I've missed something in looking at it again. So that would be, is it fair to say that the committee is wanting some clarification on that?
Yes, I
Yeah.
would think so.
Okay.
What about right now? There's a later ferry, isn't there?
Yeah, because it's summer, because the tourists
Oh,
are coming and going.
I know.
But that will change come the fall. The 4 p.m. will be the last ferry to the boat or last ferry to the island.
So then most,
Have we ever thought about contracting with a local just to transport on a boat, or was it because of insurance purposes, or what was this was all happening way before I came on, so.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I know we've talked about it just very briefly about the option. What are the other options? You know, we have Apostle Islands cruise line, and there's the National Park Service that I know does shuttling of passengers out to islands during the, you know, the tourist season, probably through October. And that's something that we can certainly look into. And I think that would be really helpful for us just to see what our options are, because I do believe that there are options and maybe that they've never been explored in the recent past. I'm looking at the fall ferry schedule, and it's actually, there is a 5 o'clock to the island that starts September 7th through October 17th. And that runs until, hold on, November 29th through January 2nd to the island. The last boat is 4. It switches in November, except Thursdays and Fridays, November 29th through January 2nd, then there's a 5 o'clock.
so then they have to find somebody to spend the night with if they want to be in extracurriculars.
3 nights a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so I think accommodating school schedules is very important, and the ferry should let us know if that's what they're willing to do or not, basically. Also, so concerns about contracting with someone, I mentioned to Beth before the meeting, with other transportation options. I'm concerned about when ice starts to form in the lake, if other boats will be able to get through the ice, like the tour boats or something like that. Also, docking. I am pretty sure on the island side that the ferry line monopolizes the town dock. It's a town dock, but the ferry leases it. So I don't know where the other boat could drop the kids off.
Oh,
And that would be a question for the town.
Yes.
What space would be available should a different taxi service be employed by the district?
like, I know you said you had a taxi, a water taxi. How big are they usually?
Oh, that's just like my friend's
Oh.
boat.
Oh, okay. There's not actually somebody who does it.
Well, he does,
Oh,
but it's just his little boat, and he
Oh.
pulls it out every winter because that's a huge deal. Is like that the ferry boats can weather some pretty
rough water.
rough waters and some pretty thick ice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Hi there. So
Okay.
those are my two concerns when we think about going somewhere else for it.
Okay,
Right, yeah.
point taken.
But it just warrants exploring, you know. and
Yes.
looking and Stuff, so.
I agree. I think that those two specific things though would have to be like definitely mentioned while exploring. On 10C, again, the last sentence, under no circumstances shall Madeline be liable for any decision to deny vessel ridership. I think that saying under no circumstances
Yeah.
is completely unfair.
Mhm.
Not to say that they ever would, but I think that that's unfair.
Mhm. Have we sent this to John Anderson?
Not yet.
We have.
And that was all I had.
Okay. So we're at Wednesday right now, the week before the regular school board meeting on Monday. We'll certainly do all that we can to address some of the finance committee's questions and concerns regarding the Madeline Island Ferry contract, and certainly consult our legal counsel for the district, John Anderson, so that he can take a look at that language as well. So I have comparing bus and ferry contract, question on compensation regarding one-way ticket option, and then 7D, 10A, 10C, a particular language there that I've made note of. And then there's no language that exists in the contract that references accommodating school schedules and ferry schedules. And then there is just an outside question regarding docking should another taxi service be employed on the island side.
And if you approach some other company about to just make sure that their watercraft can break through the ice when ice is forming. Obviously not like a foot of ice, but some.
Right. And that brings us to the end of the Finance Committee, January 14th. I'm sorry, not January, July. Not yet. 14th. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.